Hey everyone, welcome into the Thinking Crypto podcast, your home for cryptocurrency news and interviews. I'm your host, Tony Edward. On your way in, please hit that subscribe button as well as the thumbs up button and leave a comment below. If you're listening on a podcast platform such as Spotify or Apple, please leave a 5-star rating and review. Well, folks, we got to start with some interesting news around BlackRock. So, BlackRock's $26 billion private credit fund limits withdrawals. So, why am I sharing this with you? Well, we're also seeing on the stock market, and with regards to that, the VIX is spiking. So, the volatility index is starting to surge here. And of course, Bitcoin's down, the crypto market's down a bit, the stock market's down a bit. So, we got to be cautiously optimistic, like I was saying just earlier in the week, even though we saw Bitcoin start to move upwards, because there's just a lot of macro factors that are bringing a lot of uncertainty to the market. So you got the war with Iran, you got the really bad job numbers. I believe we're in some form of recession. It may be not a deep recession, a light recession. It's just a mess out there. So markets are going to be affected. So just be careful, guys, cautiously optimistic, because we may see some downside before we have our relief rally, at least for crypto. And we got to, watch the stock market, because if the stock market starts dumping, we've seen historically the correlation that crypto follows as well. But, what's happening with BlackRock, this is very surprising. This is the world's largest asset manager. And if we're seeing something like this, it could be an indication that something's about to break. And typically, when something breaks on the level of the banks and Wall Street, what happens? The Fed steps in with the money printer. Now, they've started QE already, but I think this could be a catalyst or an excuse for them to go all in and start printing. And eventually that liquidity makes its way into markets. But nevertheless, we could be in for some rough waters, or maybe not. Maybe these things resolve at some point and the markets still have their relief rally before rolling over, right? This could be early warning signs that something's down the line, and that may be 2-3 months away. So again, just something to be aware of and how it may affect the markets. Don't be surprised if something breaks and markets start dumping, but we all know the solution, the fiat system that we live in, right? That they continue to debase. They're going to print their way out of it. They can't let the assets, the collateral, go to zero, because the whole system would fall apart. If you understand how the game works and why we are investing in assets, and especially crypto as the fastest horse in the race, we are looking to outpace that debasement. So something to be aware of, guys. Okay, moving ahead, the first U.S. state-level stablecoin bill passes in Florida. This is a huge milestone. We, of course, have the Genius Act on the federal level that has been passed, and many different folks are issuing stablecoins. Well, the states, we know, many of them have been doing their own thing with crypto reserves and now stablecoins and much more. So Senate Bill 314 looks to create a framework for payment stablecoin issuers in the state, including consumer protections and financial stability guidelines, aligning with federal Genius Act standards, State Senator Colleen Burton said. The bill would prohibit qualified payment stablecoin issuers from paying any form of interest to holders if such payment is prohibited under federal law. So this is really great, guys. We got it on the federal level, and now we're seeing the states execute. Now, game theory usually plays out here. You got one state takes the first step, and the others are going to follow suit. No one wants to get left behind, especially as this can spur economic growth and create jobs and things along those lines. So it's amazing what's happening, guys. The adoption on the government and the company level, and just users across the globe being able to access crypto in many different ways. Now, I do believe Florida Governor Ron DeSantis does have to sign this in the coming days or weeks. So that is something I expect to happen. I don't think that's going to be a problem, but it's already made its way, up there to get the signature. So this is really great. And we know crypto is going to play a major part in U.S. elections. It did in the last election. Crypto was the biggest donor in that election, and that was because it was attacked by unlawfully, right, by Elizabeth Warren and Gary Gensler. But across the globe, we're seeing a similar type of trend. So major Tether investors' donations to UK party pushing pro-crypto policies reach $16 million. So something similar is happening here in the UK. Reform UK became the first UK party to accept cryptocurrency donations, prompting calls from lawmakers to ban the practice. The debate unfolds as the UK finalizes its broader crypto rulebook, with firms like Coinbase urging regulators to avoid restrictive stablecoin policies. So you go against crypto, you're going to lose because this industry is on the rise and TradFi is now adopting it. So it would be foolish to be anti-crypto. It is not foolish to have regulations, right? That's you may say, hey, look, I'm not anti-crypto, but I want to have fair and balanced regulations in place to allow innovation, but to protect consumers. And that's something we should all be about. Now, on the topic of stablecoins, we got some interesting updates around the CBDC ban bill. So many of you know that bill was supposed to pass in the defense spending bill, but it didn't get there. And now it's making its way back up. However, some folks have put certain provisions there that would allow, even though a ban is in place, but by 2030, it could be unbanned. Yeah, it's kind of weird, kind of murky here. So the update is that the Senate is sending down a bill or a housing bill, and it has a temporary ban on CBDCs. This must be changed to a permanent ban. CBDCs allow for total government control. This will probably get nasty, so I'm telling everyone now we would appreciate your air support on this. So this is from Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna. This is what she tweeted out. Eleanor Terridge highlighted the following regarding that, saying House members already making it clear they won't tolerate the Senate's 2030 sunset provision for its CBDC ban in the latest housing bill. The TLDR is, again, they're putting a temporary ban instead of a permanent, saying, oh, this is just till 2030. So this is why I've been saying for years, and some people have made fun of me, oh, you're too worried about it. I'm like, no, we got to be vigilant because the government will love to take your rights away, to trample your rights, and not to get into politics, but look at what the Patriot Act did, right? So they would love to bring this back up to a future generation, right? And I think of it, my daughter, who's 8 years old, and by the time she becomes an adult, would they try to bring this back because the future generation is more digital, and they'll say, oh, no, no, it's fine. Use our CBDC, nothing to worry about. But then eventually that could be weaponized against people, whether it's about your political beliefs, your religious, other things, right? And it would trample all over your rights. And you never know when a draconian government or, leader may rise up and use it. So we want to make sure that's banned, so that if someone does try to do this, it's going to be very difficult because the laws would be in place. So something to be vigilant about. Again, you guys know I've been talking about it for a long time. So Senator Ted Cruz, is a Republican out of Texas, filed an amendment to strike the sunset provision on the CBDC ban in the Senate's 21st Century Road to Housing Act, which will likely have a series of votes next week. Sources close to Cruz tell me he plans to push for a vote on the amendment. So let's see, folks. This is it might get pretty messy because the likes of Elizabeth Warren and some of these folks would love to have a CBDC, right? The Fed continuing to issue money via digital format, and they give you a wallet and all that jazz. And of course, the big banks like JP Morgan, her buddies, are all part of it, and they're monitoring everything. There's no privacy, and again, that could be weaponized against you based on your beliefs. We can't have that happening. Moving ahead, 21 Shares is launching the first Polkadot ETF in the US today. Fee is 30 basis points, and it looks like it was seeded with $11 million. Here's how they describe the coin. Polkadot is unique as it's designed to connect many independent blockchains into a single interoperable network where developers can launch their own purpose-built blockchain. So I do have some Polkadot in my portfolio, very small. There hasn't been much going on with this project, and many people said like it's almost at the edge of dying. But good to see that we're getting ETFs for many different altcoins, many new on-ramps being built, especially to allow TradFi and mainstream people to invest in these assets safely. So I love it, guys. I love that these issuers are doing this, and we'll see how these perform as we enter the next bull market cycle. Yes, we're in a bear market, but I'm forward looking, right? I'm thinking of this macro wise, and I told you guys I'll be looking to buy more altcoins as we dip further, which I believe altcoins will continue to bleed against Bitcoin, because any type of recovery you see, Bitcoin leads the charge, and the Bitcoin dominance goes up. It takes the liquidity from the altcoins. So that's where I'll be looking to do some entries in the bear market bottom, which I think we're very close, by the way. I think the majority of the downside move has been completed. So I'll be looking to buy the dip there. And a great place where you can buy the dip, folks, is with iTrust Capital. And it's a unique offering and a unique way to invest because you can do it via an IRA. So you get huge tax benefits. So if you have a long-term view, you can invest in both crypto as well as precious metals like gold and silver. And you can do it through that IRA with huge tax advantage. And you can buy, sell crypto, gold, and silver 24/7. It's low cost, no monthly fee. And if you have an existing 401k or IRA, you can roll it over to this IRA. Now, with the gold and silver, this is not paper gold and silver. You can actually redeem the physical metals. So that's a unique part of this, right? Many platforms just give you kind of the paper saying, oh, yeah, here it is, but you can't redeem it. So if you want to physically redeem it, you certainly can with this service. So this is a really, really great offering. They also have a great custody product, which I believe second to self-custody is the safest way to custody your assets. They use institutional grade custody, such as Coinbase Prime, Fidelity Digital Assets, Fireblocks, and many others. And we all know BlackRock, they use Coinbase Prime. So they're using the tier one institutional grade custody, guys. So this is a very safe option. And they have a closed loop system. So even if someone hacks into your account, they can't withdraw anything, guys. So it's a really great offering here. So again, two great products. Check it out. And folks, if you use my link, you can get $100 funding bonus. So go check out iTrust Capital, sign up for an account today. Okay, folks, moving ahead, Strike, the Bitcoin payments company, has received a BIT license in New York. Many of you know BIT licenses are hard to get, and I hate that New York has this. Some of you over the years have asked, Tony, why can't I access this exchange or this platform in New York? It's because New York is this crazy walled garden. They have these financial walls set up, and it's you got to jump through a whole bunch of hoops. It's really ridiculous. And hopefully they get rid of it. But it's great to see some of these crypto companies are getting these licenses, which are highly coveted. So really great news here. And look at this, the Bank of Canada and the country's major banks completed their first tokenized bond trial. So I'll say it for the 10 millionth time, the future economies, markets, and governments will all run on blockchain rails. We are seeing the setup happening here, the pilots, the testing. This is the direction we're headed in, folks. So it's pretty incredible what's happening. And speaking of global crypto news, Pakistan's parliament passes the Virtual Assets Act of 2026. So legislation and clarity getting passed globally. Pakistan's parliament passed the Virtual Assets 2026 on Wednesday, cementing Pakistan's Virtual Assets Regulatory Authority, a government agency, as the country's digital asset regulator. The framework gives the agency, established in July 2025, the authority to enforce licensing requirements and oversight over digital asset service providers, according to an announcement from the regulator. So, guys, we've talked about it a lot. They're not banning crypto, right? They're not trying to kill crypto. They are going to put the guardrails in place. They're going to protect consumers. And of course, they're going to take their cut as the governments do, right? They want a piece of the pie as far as revenue and tax revenue and all these things. So that's what's happening. But again, there's no banning. Years ago, they were saying this is, only criminals use it. We're going to ban it. It shouldn't exist. Now, we need to get our legislation in place. We need to have the government agencies to oversee it. This is the building out of the infrastructure for this global asset class. Here's another example. Kazakhstan Central Bank eyes sprint start for $350 million crypto-linked portfolio. This is incredible, guys. Central banks getting involved here. Kazakhstan Central Bank plans to begin investing as much as $350 million of its gold and foreign exchange reserves into a crypto-linked portfolio, with the first purchases expected in April or May, senior officials reported during a Friday news briefing. According to Reuters, National Bank Governor Timur Suleimanov, I probably butchered that, said the bank is compiling a list of instruments for the portfolio. He said the basket would include crypto-linked assets and did not rule out direct cryptocurrency exposure, though officials indicated the initial emphasis would be on listed instruments tied to this sector. My thoughts here is that they're most likely going to start with ETFs and things that are safe. As always, they start with Bitcoin or ETH, and then they will go down the list, guys. XRP, Solana. So incredible what's happening. I mean, this is a central bank getting involved here, looking to have exposure to crypto. And guess what? This is just the tip of the iceberg. More are going to do it. And again, game theory, right? So Deputy Governor Alia Moldbekova, if I'm saying that right, reportedly said the banks expects the first investments to begin in April or May. Until then, funds allocated for the initiative are being held in money market instruments. She said the investments may also include shares in companies tied to digital asset infrastructure and then ETFs tracking them. So I mentioned ETFs earlier. So very bullish news here, guys. And again, this is a preview of what's to come. As this asset class becomes more regulated, and especially here in the United States, once we have legislation, trillions of dollars are going to come into the market. Okay, folks, that's the news. Let me know what you think. Leave your thoughts and comments below. Hit the thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't as yet. Be sure to subscribe to my free email newsletter. It is 100% free. Link will be in the description. Be sure to grab a copy of my book on Amazon. It's available in paperback and digital. And if you want to expand your knowledge about crypto and blockchain technology, check out my course at mycryptocourse.com. This is a comprehensive course that teaches you everything you need to know. It's packed with tons of value, videos, text write-ups, of course, downloadable materials, and much more. And you can go at your own pace. It's a very easy format. You can leave comments. I've often replied to comments to people who have additional questions within the lessons and much more. So you will find expert commentary in here. That's the unique part of this course of videos from people I've interviewed who I ask them specific questions after the interview, and I have that content in here. So check it out, guys. Link will be in the description. You can go to mycryptocourse.com. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you all, and I'll talk to you all later.